Hello Jen, hi Rich, Ali here, and I've been working on your lovely garden plans, and I've got two very different concepts to show you, and I sort of thought I want to run these by you now before I do any further work on them, just because they're both kind of completely different. I think they both hit the brief in different ways, but yeah, I wanted to give you some options, obviously, for you guys to think about. So going and just looking at your picky that you sent me at the moment and talking about these trees and stuff, obviously they're a bit awkward because they're right in the wrong place, really. And while I hate to ever get rid of established things, you know, I usually like to save stuff. I can't quite make this out, but it looks so misshapen, this tree. It kind of looks cut away on one side, and I can see where it's badly damaged, where ivy's grown up through it. And this kind of little shrubby here is pretty insignificant. I think it's a, I'm not sure if it's a forsythia or something like that, but it's nothing special anyway. So my view really is best to take these out, and almost, you know, have them taken down, or you can sort of, you know, cut bits off yourself and chop it up as much as you can, and then have the sort of stumps ground out. It won't be a massive significant job. It's not huge. We've taken down much bigger trees than this. So yeah, that won't be an issue, and then we can use this space, especially if the patio, we want to create a really lovely terrace for you to sit out on. And all the designs I've sort of worked with, I started with these in position and they just scuppered things terribly. Like, it just means that your patio can only come to here, which means you've got to have a very small table and chairs, and it just kind of kills everything. So I would say don't worry about taking those out. They're not of any particular special interest. This fella here, I've kind of done two options for you. One where we keep him in place and just shape him a little bit, where he's got all scruffy and a bit scraggy and a bit sort of misshapen, but it's obviously doing quite well there. So I've worked with him in position. He looks like a him to me. He's definitely a him, that one. I've had him stay in there to create a little hidey hole and dens and things behind there on one of the designs, and another one of the designs I've taken it out so that you could see what you could do if you took out all three of them, if that makes sense. So I know that your main concern, oh sorry, door slamming, I know your main concern would be that yes, that is hiding a couple of windows there. So you would kind of, I know, lose a bit of privacy there, but obviously we're going to deal with this. We've got two sort of bedroom windows here as well. So I've got a couple of ideas how I can create a bit more privacy for you when you're sitting out. So yeah, I think really sort of the pros and cons of it, actually the pros of getting rid of them far outweigh these two windows overlooking, really, on balance. If it was a really beautiful tree, then perhaps we'd say keep it, but anyway, that's just my opinion anyway. So you know, obviously you can sort of make your minds up on that. So with that in mind, I've got two completely different plans for you to consider. I've been playing around with shapes and things. One is based, this one, on circles and curves, and the other one is much more kind of straight lines and things. So when we first start out, it's all about getting the ground shapes right, just so that we make the most use of the space. Your garden is kind of wider than it is long, so it's good to have shapes that come out into the garden and a sort of break in the middle. A sort of, it's kind of visually works. So yeah, so this design, as you can see, based on curves, I've drawn this out based on the PDF file that Rich sent. So hopefully those dimensions should be pretty accurate. I wasn't sure just what happens down here because I couldn't see on the photo, but the PDF file showed that there was a little gap here before the fence, but I'm not sure if that's correct. I don't know if the fence comes right up to the house or not. So we might have to jiggle that about a little bit. I've kept all the sort of hedging in obviously it needs kind of trimming up and sorting out a little bit, but I think it's a massive job to rip it all out and start again with fences all around, or planting a brand new hedge, and you would lose, obviously a brand new hedge would take a long time to establish unless you spend a lot of money and have an instant hedge put in. But I think really you can work with what you've got would be my recommendation on your budget. Otherwise, before you know it, you could spend £2,000-3,000 just sorting out boundaries before you've sort of spent any money on your actual garden. So working with those hedges, this shape, well, you can sort of see for yourself, we've got a sort of sandstone patio coming out from the dining room here onto a sort of dining terrace. And then I thought it would be nice to have a focal point at your kitchen window. So here, because it's the kitchen view, I've drawn in, I've marked in a little low hedge, a little formal hedging that we can plant from scratch and just train up, and it creates these little barriers and little areas and different zones, which I know that you're keen on. And I thought this would be a nice area for a little kitchen garden with some herbs and things in there, just in gravel. You can edge it in the nice edging stone. And then I've put a circle around the outside of just a slightly different material, instead of having it all paving right up to it, to have a little circle of like hogging material, which is the very natural, not resin bonded, but it's a Breedon sort of gravel material, a natural gravel with sort of silt and clay in it that can be tamped down. You see it in all the National Trust properties and things. Actually, all the paths at Rest Park, they're made out of this kind of stuff. So that's just quite a nice little effect to have around your kitchen garden. I know you didn't ask for that, but anyway, I thought it would be a nice little addition. And then coming out of your utility area, you've still got enough of a paving area there to sort of do your washing and bits and pieces, and you can put a bench on there if you like. So this design with these curves, we've got a sort of straight edge going off there that curves into a perfect circle, which then comes obviously round into this circular area. And then just to balance things up, I wanted to create a semicircle sort of shape going around here. So you end up with two little separate lawn areas. And I thought that's quite nice for the boys, with little hedging barriers. It kind of creates a bit of a journey. They've got to sort of come out and go around here. So this can be for games on their bikes and things up and down here, obviously, but then they've got their own little play lawn here. And the hedging and these kind of features I'm going to talk about in a minute kind of help keep things in place. Like if they're playing with a ball or got football going on, it stops the ball sort of going, but they look nice as well. So you've got like little boundaries. And the same here, if they're playing here, you can obviously set up little goalposts or whatever, play football up here, but then at least you haven't got footballs bouncing into where you're eating and whatnot. So that's quite nice. And then this is my little secret area for the boys. So this will be their little hidden gem, a little woodland path, sort of bark chip, I think, can come around here in this S shape. And we can lead it to a fantastic little den hidden away here behind the shed. And this is that bush that's already in place. I think we might have to jiggle about with the position of this, but I think this design would work with that big boy that I talked about, kept in place if you wanted to keep him. So to take the boys on their little journey and find a little secret adventurous place, they could have a den here. It could be a little teepee, a wooden structure, or it could be a willow circle where you plant live willow into archway. That's really easily done. Or what's lovely is the twisted hazel, Corylus avellana contorta. So it's that corkscrew kind of hazel. And that would grow even amongst the hedging because it's a kind of woodlandy plant. You can stick those in the ground in a circle and we could have them shaped in to create a teepee. I've just found this little teepee symbol on the computer package, so I've just popped that in there. But also en route they can discover cool stuff. So as they come round here, there's a little circle here for the water feature, which can be one of those lovely little bubbly jets. This is all kind of surrounded by these upright timbers, and just for a little bit of privacy and screening, so it just makes it feel all secretive. And a little blackboard on the shed, you can paint the shed up, you know, perhaps different colour, make that all smart. And the beauty about these wooden uprights is that they create screening, a little bit of privacy and intrigue. They're also a little bit like a sculpture. It's kind of like a funky thing to have in your garden, but you can also hang things off them. I thought, Jen, you might like some nice lanterns, or you can put ropes through, or you know, if it's a really hot day and the kids are playing outside and playing in the water, you could have like a couple of little hooks and things on some of them to hang up towels, or, you know, it's just quite a cool little thing to have. So let me just spin you around in this model so you can see it a bit better in 3D. Here we go. It's really rough at the moment, as you can see. Oops, I've got some floating plants kind of floating up in the air. I'll fix that another time. But yeah, this just shows you gives you an idea of how it could look once it catches up. Sorry, it's very slow today. Come on. It's been very slow. Got too many things on this program that's slowing it up. Okay, my computer has gone to sleep. It's highly frustrating. Got too many elements in here. While it's catching up, I just wanted to talk about the planting. I've just popped in just for this visual, kind of a mix of sculptural plants like topiary sort of buxus balls, you know, just like clipped box in these kind of ball shapes, and that looks really cool with big tall wavy grasses, so we can get some instant height in there. Oh, might have to stop this and try again. Okay, I might have to do a little edit. Aha, here we go. I was just trying to do too many things at once. Sorry. Get really impatient with this. What a surprise, Jen. I get impatient with stuff. Right, here we go. Me and computers. You know we don't mix very well. Okay, come on, hurry up. Urgh. Anyway, that gives you the kind of overall view from, here we go, hooray, from your parents' side, I think. So we would have, looking over the hedge from theirs, we would have sort of shrub planting around the edge. I think a feature tree would be important up in this right-hand corner. It's kind of a good focal point. Then you've got your big bad boy who's already there. He's a bit taller than that, I think. Couldn't find a good graphic for that. And then we create this kind of whoosh of semicircle of hedging and a little bit of hedging around here. So then you've got this gap in your hedge, which I think you do need another small tree in there. So in this model I've created, it's not happy with me because let me get rid of that plant. Get rid of that one. There we go. There you go, that's slightly better. Yeah, so I think we just need to fill that gap with something, and a small tree there, something really pretty, would give you a lot more screening at that window height. So yes, we're getting rid of, on this design, we're getting rid of those trees that are already there, but we'll replace it, and you can spend a bit of money on something quite well established, really. It might be worth it to get something very pretty, perhaps a blossoming Amelanchier, or a cherry like a Prunus cerula, or even a little silver birch, one that's not going to get too big, one of the varieties. But something pretty in there to give you a bit of instant height. But you can see how these kind of upright timbers give you a little bit of a sculptural effect. And that's the little bubble jet water feature. There we go. Right, okay, so that one with curves and circles is design option 1. I'll take you to the overhead shot again for a final view. There. I'll do screenshots for you as well, guys, so that you can, you know, write on any amends. It's usually easier to kind of, you know, draw on if there's elements that you like or don't like or would change. Yeah, so that's option number 1. Now I'm going to take you to something completely different. If I can find it over here. Oh, what did I do with it? Here you go. Right, here you go. This is option number 2, which is much more sort of contemporary feel, really, squares and rectangles, but it's still got all those lovely elements in it. So I know that you're keen to have something quite whimsical and you know, pretty, but at the same time you want sort of neat edges. You know, I get the brief. I sort of understand, you know, the sort of edging requirement, and I think we could use almost something similar to even the same material as you've got down here. I quite like that, the sort of grey pavers, to make a lovely edge, and it was the same on the circle one. This one you can see is what would happen if you took out not only the big tree here, but also that big boy who's over here. So if you did clear out all of those bits and pieces that are in the way, you would end up with enough space to have one big lawn area. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you, is the difference between, you know, kind of clearing out those things that are in the wrong position or working around them. So if I didn't have those things in the way, this is kind of, I guess, how I would design the space. And similar things apply, that I want to create different zones for you. So you've got this sandstone paved patio coming out. Nice that it's not going straight across in a straight line. We have a staggered edge here to create a nice L-shaped border, and then we come in, because you just need a narrow bit in front of the window, and then we come out again so that you've got your kind of separate little area that, you know, if you want to put a bench in or use to hang your washing out and sort your washing and stuff, Jen. But also to balance off with this one, I've got a tree in the corner. Oh, hi Ames. Ames just come home. So this one we've got a couple of additions. So the tree in the corner, which you had in the last one, is kind of edged off with a square with pebbles underneath, so that becomes a real feature. You can put lighting in as well and have that uplit at night, which would be gorgeous. We've still got this den. I like the idea, if we can, if there's enough room here, to create this den area for the kids at the back, which again can be a tree den or any kind of den you like. And with this one I've gone for a more contemporary sort of, what are these called? Not stepping stones, what are they called? They're these kind of long pavers. It's just a more kind of contemporary shape dotted amongst here to sort of get through this bark area to the back. And you can plant bulbs and things in amongst here as well, and have different things coming up at different times a year. This one I've got the hedge in again because I still want to create these zones, and I've got this low hedge going across. And something new on this one is this large open area here of the hogging material. So instead of just thinking about all either grass or stone, it's kind of quite a nice in-betweeny kind of substance. It's not loose like gravel, it's the self-binding Breedon gravel that I talked about before, that is like the pathways at National Trust properties. And it looks absolutely stunning when it's just got some really beautiful feature trees in it. I know you might find that quite alarming that I've got 3 in a row, but they would be small clipped trees in a row, like a real sculpture. So I want to zoom around and show you that. It's quite a French thing actually, this kind of idea. You know, the French play boule on this kind of surface. So it's also really nice for the kids. It's kind of a nice soft surface, but it's compacted. So they could still go around on their trucks and bikes, and they could truck and bike around here as well. They can weave in and out of these, and these are actually planted right within it, and the hogging goes right up to the base of the tree stem. And then I've put in as a little feature idea, instead of just blocking this hedge up with planting, if you wanted a more instant kind of solution, then you could even put in a little bit of fencing or an attractive screen, sort of trellising with a feature pot in front of it, and make a feature out of this gap in the hedge. I mean, they did in Capability Brown Gardens, they always had gaps in hedges. I know it's not ideal because I think you've got a road there and people looking in, but you know, you might as well, you can screen it a little bit and just let people have a little glimpse through. But also here I've added the idea of having a bit of height and structure from a pergola coming out from the house. Now again, I know it wasn't on your brief, but just look how that would knock out those windows. So let's take your photo behind here. So right now you've got this privacy here. If we had a structure, a wooden structure going across and down, and then you can grow things up and along it, you would create a kind of visual barrier over those windows. And if it's covered a little bit over on the roof, when people are in this bedroom window, you'll be surprised how little they'll be able to see in and see you under here on the patio. So, I mean, I know it's not complete cover, it's not a complete solid barrier, but we've done this at ours. We've got like a carport outside our house with just rafters across, and it just knocks out 2 windows straight away. So that's where I got the idea from, actually, was our carport. So yeah, you could really create such a barrier if you had the trees and the pergola. That would be amazing. You would have all that privacy, and you've cleared out all this lovely big wide open space for the rest of your garden. So just by not having those trees in the wrong place, you create a lovely big lawn area. So let me show you from down into the house. I did a little mock-up here of your windows. There you go. So this would be your new view out from your dining area. So what's nice about using the timbers as well is it kind of gives it a frame, almost like picture frame, frames the view. And you can have your water feature there and the hedge behind, so it's kind of layers of, there we go, it's kind of different layers. It's quite good. I quite like that, and I quite like a formal clipped hedge with the kind of soft grassy stuff growing up alongside it. Now if you go for a pergola type idea, you can design it however you want, because you just have somebody build it, and that's the beauty of this. I've started playing around with actually putting some cross beams in down here. You could fill this in if you want complete privacy and have trellising, or these can be chunky like little shelves for ornaments and things, like an outdoor shelving system. You could have those lovely little, you know, cactus plants and those beautiful sempervirums and things. You could have them hanging. You can do all sorts of stuff. As soon as you've got a structure like this, it's really cool to play about with hanging stuff off it. So I sort of thinking, Jen, you would quite like festoon, what are they called? The festoon lighting, like the light bulbs that sort of sway the cross. You can twiddle fairy lights all up there. You could actually have, hanging from the centre, a real statement centrepiece outdoor light, like a chandelier type light fitting. So there's all sorts you can do with a bit of height and structure. And then I also just started playing around with the placement of these beams. You don't have to be boring and have it like the off-the-shelf ones at B&Q. You could even have the rafters closer together at one end and then more spaced apart at the other. So this provides a bit more shade and this is a bit more spacey. So yeah, this would just be built and constructed from 4x4 timber or even 5x5 if you want it nice and chunky. I'm going to show you actually, there's a designer that I follow that does a lot of these kind of structures, bespoke structures. She builds some of them out of sleepers, which I think are a bit too chunky. But yeah, I'm just going to spin this around and then show you what I mean by that. There you go. Okay, so that is option number 2, squares. I'll give you one last overhead shot, like that. And I'm just going to see if I can be snazzy and quickly open a window for you. Sorry about this, I should have had this all set up. It's outrageous. God dear. Let me get your bits out of the way. Right, right, I'm just going to, bear with. I'm just going to find you Earth Designs. I shouldn't show you this, this shows you one of my competitors. Haha, she's a lot more money than me though. Right, here we go. There you are, right on her opening page. So if you look up earthdesigns.co.uk, this is Katrina Kiefer Wells' site. This is a bespoke kind of pergola structure. This is very, very chunky, but look at that, it's like a set of outdoor shelving with little ornaments and things. Obviously you have to take all that stuff in the winter and stuff, but it's cool, right? It's a cool idea, it's nice, little outdoor room. But I do want to show you one of hers that I love, which is a bit more delicate than that, and that's what I was thinking of. Here we go, I knew it would be on her first page. Right, this North London garden, she calls it a Japanese garden. I don't actually think it looks very Japanese at all, but this garden is the sort of structure that I had in mind for yours. Oh gosh, it's lovely. Oh, I shouldn't be showing you this. Right, here we go. She's actually painted hers black. You could do black or slate grey. And there it is. She's kind of built this little, it's almost like a bus shelter. It's not coming out the full width of the dining table and chairs, but it's just uprights and then a kind of, you know, pattern of struts, rafters and things, and some lovely lanterns. That's not a very clear picture, but anyway, you can have a look. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, you can have a look for yourself at this website and see what you think. Katrina often also uses a lot of little hedging plants as well. There you are, there's a nice view of it. You can see it's very simple structure. It's not anything particularly complex. There you go. Right, that's enough of that. The other thing I want to show you, actually one more shot, is I want to show you how those trees look within the breeding gravel. Now, this is another of my all-time favourite designers, Charlotte Rowe, and this garden, she uses pleach trees a lot, which I have looked into, but they're about £300 each. But here, if you can see this area, she often does in her designs big, large, open spaces which are of this breeding gravel. So she might use a beautiful sandstone or slate, a lot of greenery, a lot of topiary. But then there's often, I've seen this in a lot of her gardens at Chelsea, she has big open spaces with kind of very beautifully sculpted trees in them. A light at the bottom there shining up into the canopy, and that is beautiful. So this was my inspiration for your little breeding gravel area on the square design. Not on such a grand scale as this, but you get the picture, hopefully. Okay guys, right, well I think I've waffled on enough. Take care, it's been lovely working on this, and I look forward to your comments. Just get back to me when you can and we'll take it on to the next step, and I hope you like them. Okay, bye for now, bye.